Greetings, everyone, and welcome. This is another Sunday evening, and it's What's Happening? Born to Talk, the talk show. I'm your host, Shaylin Mitchell-Berment, and I was born to talk. And I'm so glad that, I'm obeying God. I'm taking this leap of faith and taking it one day at a time. I remember when I just began a couple weeks ago, I realized I had to make the vision more clear, more plain. And so I've got a picture on my vision board now of how my studio should look after God. And so I'm working towards that. But as I continue in faith and obedience to God, knowing that the rest will come, He is certainly going to have His way. So again, this is another Sunday evening. Wherever you are, this is valuable conversations about fulfilling your purpose. And quite recently, I was reading a book penned by John Maxwell, and he said in that book in particular, success is a journey. So it's not just a destination, but it's a journey. And we are on this journey together. I discovered my own in 2023 in particular, that I was born to talk. Having been able to connect and see that everything that I've been doing has to do with talking. And so I am here, and God is, bringing me with persons that have also discovered their purpose and is passionate about fulfilling it. So today, even as I was preparing for this, I must share this, right? Even as I was preparing for it, I remember it all had to do with my identity and struggling with that. And one of the taglines God also gave me for this particular segment is valuable. I am valuable. And I just want to touch on the acronym of valuable. Victorious in Christ, that's the V. A, adopted by God. L, loved by God. U, uniquely designed by God. A, approved by God. B, blessed by God. L, lifted by God. And E, equipped by God. And by the time I know as I go along, I'll become more, I'll memorize it so that it will be a part of me, And so this is what it's about, valuable conversations about fulfilling your God-ordained purpose. And this evening with me, I have Daniel Lewis, known in the entertainment industry as Priest 868. He is a musician, a visual artist, event manager, entrepreneur, husband, and a father. Having been active in his field for over 20 years, he credits his success to having the privilege of knowing his purpose. He is dedicated to being an example to the community and is a servant at heart. He is the head of the music department at Memorial Moravian Church and owner of Priest 868 Music School. So I want to welcome into this space none other than Mr. Daniel Lewis. Welcome. So you can put on your camera and just begin to share how you ended up on this journey of purpose and being passionate about it. How you know that you are in purpose. So welcome, and go ahead, my brother.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Well, my journey, I've come to realize, is not much different from anyone else who would have found their purpose. I started from very young, actually. I was always into visual art first, right, from a very young age. I started in music. Well, I can't quite say I started in music, but I was introduced to music also at a very young age. I got into it at around the age of 17. But when it comes to talking about things like purpose, right? So I remember coming up in school, not knowing what I wanted to do, not knowing, I had an idea that I wanted to become an architect. And funny story is that in Trinity College in Mocha Marval, where I attended, the Form 6 students, while I were in the lower forms, the Form 6 students, I'll always see them doing architectural drawings. So that got me excited to get into Form 6 to do architectural drawings. But by the time I got into Form 6, they did away with the architectural drawing program and they introduced engineering drawing. So I was really disappointed by that, but little did I know that that was a move towards where I am today, right? So another thing about that time that is important for me to state is that what I knew is I did not want to be sitting behind a desk. I get bored very easily. So the monotony in my mind of sitting behind a desk every day from 8 to 4, 9 to 5 or whatever, to me that seemed like, like death, like the most boring thing I could possibly do. But if I had become an architect, that's exactly what I would have been doing, right? So my purpose or my life was being directed towards purpose long before I had any idea what my purpose was. All right, I have a gift being able to draw information from multiple sources, meaning as a teacher now I understand that there are some students who learn visually, some who learn orally, and some who learn by hands-on, right? My gift is I am able to pull information from all of these areas and others, right? So I was always good in school. I didn't really study much and never went to lessons and that kind of thing. I would just be in the class, absorb the information, however it's being presented, and be able to bring it to memory, to recall it at the time of exam. So I would do good. My brother, on the other hand, wasn't the same as me, right? He didn't have the ability to draw on all the information, at least from my perspective at that time, right? He wasn't as what was the word as natural to it as me. However, at a very young age, meaning in secondary school, something in him just switched, and he just focused very heavily on his bookwork. He would be studying for hours while I doing whatever I doing, right? And today he's a biochemist, right? He's a doctor. He has his doctorate in biochemistry, right? I said that to say that I realized that he knew what he wanted to be from way back then. It wasn't that way for me, right? It took me into my 20s to figure out, right? But as you were saying, you just figured out, or 3 years ago, you were born to talk, right?
Yeah.
And you said that all along, everything that you was doing was in line with talking.
Yeah.
And I have a similar experience like that. I knew I didn't want to be behind a desk. My day job, if you want to call it that, I'm a fire officer. So I don't sit behind any desks, right?
I hear you.
Yeah, so I said that to say that purpose is something that I believe is predestined. It's something that long before you even know what it is, it already exists. And your life, whether you choose it or not, is heading in that direction. But you being able, or me being able to identify it and to acknowledge it and to choose to walk in it is like a key that unlocks your purpose in a different way. So how did I find my purpose? As I said, I grew up in church, or if I didn't say it, I grew up in church. And for a period, I left the church because I had a lot of questions that I felt like I wasn't getting the answers to. And being a musician in church, the time came when, because I started in church at 17 as a musician. So I was just getting into A levels at that time. A few years later, while my proficiency was developing, I started to work, and I really fell in love with music by that time. And I would have liked to be a full-time musician, but I didn't want to leave the church. At that time, the understanding was playing secular music is not not what I wanted to be. I didn't want to be in that environment as a Christian, right? So I tried really hard to earn an income doing what I love in the church, and that didn't go so well. So eventually, that along with a few other things, I decided to leave the church, and I played a lot of secular music in a lot of different types of bands, soca, a few jazz bands, crossover bands. I even played in a chutney band once. Right? So I was out there. I was experiencing what it was to be a musician and living off of it. And I came full circle. I'm back to the church now because I believe that the gift I have is to be used, one, to glorify God, and two, to do his work as he would have ordained me to do. So I started saying that because after leaving the church, I had so many questions. So many questions. Who am I? Why am I here? What am I doing? Is this the right thing to do? Is it not the right thing to do? And I remember I had an experience where there was a period of time, I call it my cocoon phase, where it just so happened that I was living in a place where there was a mango tree behind me. I was living in Mova on a hill at the time, right? And there was a mango tree at the back of the yard, which was higher than the house. So I was on vacation at the time from fire service. So I had like about a 2 or 3 month period where I would be home with my very young daughters at the time, and I would have a lot of time to myself. And I would spend that time up in that mango tree. And I had a real experience with God in that mango tree. I had a lot of my questions answered, right? And that was where I asked the
I just
question.
wanted to interrupt to say you had a Zacchaeus moment.
Yes, I did. I was in that tree, right? But it was every day for hours for like 2 months, right? It was really interesting. It was an experience. I've never had an experience like that since, right? That's where I asked, because that's where I learned. That's where I learned that God is inside of you, waiting for you to be honest with yourself. We lie to ourselves a lot.
Say that again. Say that again. That's really powerful. Yeah.
Yeah. I said that God is inside of you,
Yeah.
waiting for
Yeah.
you to be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Right? We lie to ourselves all the time, and we convince ourselves that the lie that we know is a lie is the truth. Because we feel no accuser. That's a lie, pointing at you. No. That's not the way the Holy Spirit works, right? God is a gentleman. He will wait. He will not barge in on you. He will allow you to go through the process and wait patiently for you to come to the realization that there's no running. you know, there's no running. So in that period was where I really became honest with myself, and I admitted a lot of things to myself that I knew all along, but convinced myself were not true. Right? Who am I really? What am I really doing? You know. So that was where one of the biggest questions I got answered was, who am I? Right? My understanding of who I am, right? It may not be traditional, but this was the beginning for me. All right. Who am I led me to the question, what am I? Because
Yeah,
really
I'm
and truly,
going to, sorry to break your trend again, but
yeah,
that's very important, what you just said.
yeah,
Who am I? Because
yeah,
even in that finding out who I was in 2023, don't lose your trend of thought, please.
yeah, no,
That was the piece I had done. Who am I?
yeah,
And it was because I discovered I had partnered with a young lady who was completing her degree, and she used drama to deal with therapy. And as such, we had to do monologues as a part of the assignment in partnering with her. And my piece was who I am. And it was really affirmed for me that I was born to talk. And it might seem so insignificant, but it is so very important to discover who you are. Go ahead. I hope I didn't cause you to
yeah,
lose your train of thought. I really wanted to piggyback on that.
yeah. No, I didn't lose my chain of thought. So I asked that question, and that question led me to, what am I? And the first answer, as simple as it is, was really powerful for me. So, what am I? I am a creature, which means I was created. I'm a creature that is living on the planet Earth. Okay? Not just on the planet Earth, but on this island called Trinidad. Right? I am a male human. Right? I am the son of Avery Lewis and Sharon Derrick, which is a next big. That right there is a whole big thing, because who I am has a lot to do with who my parents are, right? And my ancestors going back are, all right. So it started there to make sense for me, all right. From there, I had my first art exhibition entitled "Who Am I?" in Arnhem's Art Gallery. That was
Very
2022.
interesting. Very interesting.
Right. I also was part of a workshop done by Mr. Kevon Fodringham. Big up to Kevon from East Yard in Marima. Right. The name of that workshop, which was also very profound, was the I Am workshop. That is where we looked at things like what are your proclivities and how do you understand yourself and how can you package who you are to present to others through business, right? So that was very powerful. That workshop was very powerful, right? At the, important to note, this you see when you start a work in purpose, there are hints, there are little clues that God has given to show you that you're actually working in purpose. So at the end of my time in the tree, I actually had a vision, right? And that vision was I was it was daytime. I was in the tree when it happened, right? I wasn't asleep, or maybe I was sleeping in the tree. I don't know, right? But the vision was I saw an archer, right, dressed in like Roman clothes and stuff like that, right? And he was pulling this arrow in this bow like he was training to hold it. The place was well lit at the time, and eventually when he released the arrow, it was like if it was a movie, the camera followed the arrow. It left the archer behind and followed the arrow, right? And that arrow flew through the dark. You could see the arrow, but everything around it was dark. Remember, when it was in the bow with the archer, the place was well lit. So now I just seeing this arrow flying through the dark. It flew so long, I got fed up waiting for this arrow to hit where it was going to hit. Right? It flew for what seemed like a very long time. Right? And then eventually it hit a target bullseye. Right? And shortly after that, now this was Mover. Alright, so shortly after that, the neighbor behind the house who had a mechanical garage or whatnot, there was no fence between our house and his garage, but he was on the top of the hill. Shortly after, like within a week after that, this man built a fence and cut off the mango tree and lost access to the mango tree. Alright, so that to me said that I was the arrow, the archer was God, and I was being sent on a mission that would take very long to achieve. Right? I would be in the midst of darkness. But eventually, if I stay my course, right, I would fulfill my purpose, which is hitting the target.
Yeah,
Right? So
amen.
yeah, so I had that vision, and since then I've never had that type of intimacy with
Okay.
God. So I
Okay.
feel like right now in the dark, not that I'm lost,
I hear you.
I am an arrow on a purpose that
Yeah.
I have no real control over. I am not the archer, right? I am just the arrow
Yeah.
in towards my destiny, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So from there, I started working. I registered my business in 2022.
Yeah.
I started my school in 2023,
Mm-hmm.
and it has been such a success. I mean, I've been doing this over 20 years. And before I started the school, right, I was trying to think of how many students I would have taught over the years. It would have been in the hundreds. And I could not recall more than three of them, right? So I realized that I needed to start building community.
Put structure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. So from then until now, right, we have 28 students. Right, I remember first class we had just one student. Yeah, very first
Yeah.
class we had just one
Even if
student.
it's for one person,
Yeah,
even if
today,
it's for one person.
yeah, today we have 28 students. Right, the people who started with me over 2 years ago are still with me today, which is a big blessing. Right, we and you would know. Should I tell your
Of
listeners
course you can. That's part of the purpose as well. Why this would not have been happening this evening. So go
that
ahead.
so Miss Sherlyn is actually one of my students here.
Yeah.
She's learning the piano with me, right? So we have 28 students. We are building a real loving family. It is not just a school, right? And I know there's not an advertisement for the school,
No,
but
that's okay. That's quite okay.
it's directly tied into my purpose, right? So
Yeah.
my purpose is, if I have to put it into a sentence,
Yes.
my purpose is to serve God's people and to share one message. The message is that we are all creators. We are not God Almighty, but we
Mm.
all have the power to create given by God Himself, which means that we have the power to solve the problems in our community
Yes.
around us. That is my mission. That is
Yeah.
my purpose.
Thank you
I
so much.
yeah, I use the creative industry
Yes.
to fulfill that purpose. I use visual art, I
Yes.
use music, and I
Yes.
use event management to fulfill that purpose. At the
Yes.
end of the day, I am
Yeah.
here to serve. I am here to
Yeah.
share that message that you
Yeah.
have power to solve the problems in
Yes.
the community. So,
Yes, excellent, excellent. Well said. Of course, this is conversations, valuable conversations about fulfilling our God-ordained purpose. Yes, we have to bring it to a close, but
yeah,
this is just part of the journey, and
yeah.
so many things I can identify with in saying that last year, 2025, the 4th of March it was. From my sleep, I heard it. I love to create. And so God does not make a mistake, because I have been on the pathway to finding that place where what I hear, the melodies that I hear, the words that I hear, to bring it out, to be able to play it. And if you meet people who know me, they will, I mean, the keyboard I have, you all, it's, I think it must be 20 years. So, I don't exaggerate, but it's old. In that,
Yeah,
I bought it so long ago
yeah.
because of my heart desire. And I know it's all connected to being able to create. And I mean, so many pieces, but yeah, I was born to talk, my goodness. Of course, what's been happening as well, we're gonna get into one space together, to launch the studio and have those guests that have been before and who are now you. So we will be able to save that date and be in one room together and have a bigger conversation and talk about where we are at. It will be a longer segment, of course, but I'm so glad I obeyed God. And Daniel, I want to say thank you so very, very much for joining me in this time, in this birthing process, where there is a lot of tweaking, but it's simply me obeying God, and every step of obedience brings the next set of instructions. And so, just as it was marked out to be started in February, it started in February, Born to Talk, the talk show. And I believe that there are persons out there struggling. They may be over 50, like how I was at that time, and trying to, what was I placed here to do? What was I really placed here to do? And so that had provoked something in me from way back. And I'm on that path now to bring it out. And so every time someone comes on here and they are able to share a nugget, something will connect with that person out there that's struggling and feel like they have to be this way or they have to be that way. But it's simply about being who you are and being able to add value to others. So God bless you as you continue on your journey. And you all, this has been Born to Talk, the talk show. Conversations, valuable conversations about God-ordained purpose. So stay with us. We're going to be on next Sunday again with another guest and just sharing nuggets about discovering your God-ordained purpose. God bless you, everyone. And I love you all. Take care. Bye. Daniel, I cannot say bye-bye. Daniel, put back on the camera. You must want to say something before you go. One thing again, just
Yes,
something. Let me just let you say that.
I want to say thank you for having me. I was also born to talk, and I look forward to seeing where this goes.
My gosh, awesome. God bless you. Bye, everyone.